In this video, I will present my master's degree dissertation, which focuses on a psycholinguistic study of foreign languages as a bridge between the different personalities, expressive forms, and cultural horizons of bilingual, multilingual, and monolingual individuals. Humanity has always lived in a world characterized by a vast linguistic diversity, a fertile ground for the spread of bilingualism, multilingualism, and monolingualism, that is, the ability to use two, more than two, or only one language fluently. These phenomena share the concept of linguistic identity, which sees language not only as a means of communication, but also as a way for individuals to best express their personality, depending on the language used, which does not always correspond to their mother tongue. Furthermore, numerous studies, such as those by psycholinguist Ellen Bialystok, show that bilinguals and multilinguals can have greater cognitive abilities than monolinguals, as they develop more extensive neural networks due to the simultaneous management of multiple languages. Among other advantages, they are also able to reconstruct past experiences more accurately than monolinguals, thanks to a more developed inhibitory control. Recent studies have demonstrated that bilingual or multilingual experience can influence various aspects of personality, including how individuals perceive themselves and others, as well as the functioning of the human mind. This confirms that changing language often corresponds to wearing different clothes, in which one sometimes does not feel 100% oneself. In this sense, psycholinguistics plays a fundamental role, explaining how bilinguals and multilinguals can change their way of being by switching from one language to another, leading to a significantly different perception of the world around them. Monolingualism, on the other hand, can often lead to linguistic standardization, which, in turn, can cause the death of minority languages due to globalization and the predominance of dominant languages. Thus, while bilinguals and multilinguals find themselves when expressing in languages and cultures which are different from their own, monolinguals remain confined within their circle of linguistic and cultural knowledge. This does not allow them to soar towards different worlds and discover new realities that could shape their personality. Many phenomena testify to the presence of bilingualism and multilingualism in communities, such as language transferability, code switching, and code mixing, which involve switching from one language or linguistic variation to another in the same communicative context. For instance, those who know more than one language can start a sentence in their L1 and finish it in an L2 without changing their communicative intentions. From this perspective, emotions are an essential element. In fact, languages influence not only the perception and manifestation of emotions, but also the decision-making process of individuals. Numerous studies, such as those by Sapir-Whorf and Boroditsky, have shown that people tend to make decisions based on the language in which they are thinking, suggesting that human thought is shaped by the linguistic structures used. This phenomenon, known as the thinking language effect, highlights the indivisible link between language and perception of the world. Thus, learning a foreign language and culture is an experience that can lead to greater open-mindedness. However, for monolinguals, this process can be challenging. While bilinguals can practice their language proficiency through daily use, monolinguals may not have the same opportunities. Additionally, the tendency to interpret cultural differences through the prism of one's culture of origin is very strong, leading to prejudices and cultural stereotypes, as shown by the studies of Baker and Wright, which explore the challenges and strategies involved in second language learning, such as the interaction between language and identity. In addition, concerning monolingualism, it is interesting to highlight the case of Italians abroad, whose Italian can be passed down from generation to generation, represent a barrier to integration into the host country's community, or almost forgotten in favor of the new language learned. Indeed, it is not uncommon for some Italians to encounter grammatical, syntactical, or morphological difficulties when returning to speak their mother tongue after a long break. This process is very similar to that of Italian dialects, regional linguistic varieties influenced by Spanish and Portuguese since antiquity, when Spanish and Portuguese-speaking traders arrived at Italy's most famous ports, contributing to the spread of linguistic borrowings, suffixes, and phonemes between the dialects and the languages. So, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian have always been connected by the red thread of communication, representing a fundamental unifying element from the formation of Italian dialects up to the present day. In conclusion, foreign languages and cultures can open boundless horizons to anyone who wants to venture into this wonderful world. It does not matter whether one is bilingual, multilingual, or monolingual. Languages are bridges that connect very different worlds, and they have the magical power to allow individuals to best express themselves through the language that best suits the purest expression of their true personality, which does not necessarily correspond to their mother tongue, but to the language and culture in which they can find themselves and make their soul shine brightest. Thank you for your attention.